Welcome everyone to today's webinar. Over the next 45 minutes or so, I'll be covering the difference between omnichannel and multi-channel marketing and why you should always choose omnichannel. And this is my first solo webinar, so please bear with me. If I happen to be talking too fast or flipping through the slides a little bit too quickly, just let me know using the chat function. If I see the flashing orange light, I'll try to check it out, or if I hear the ding, I'll try to go down there and take a look. But really quickly, a little bit about me. My name is Allison Jensen, and I'm the marketing coordinator and omnichannel product expert here at Compu-Mail. We work with progressive marketers to increase customer spend by helping them talk to their customers in a way that their competition isn't. And we serve a variety of different industries, retail, healthcare, finance, nonprofit, education, casino gaming, and a few others. So first things first, I'm going to cover a few quick housekeeping items, and then I'll jump into the differences between omnichannel and multi-channel. Then I'll share the how and the why of omnichannel and some stats on what makes it so critical to marketing today. I'll finish up with a quick overview of OmniDM, which is our approach to omnichannel marketing, and I'll be sharing a couple case studies of clients that have seen success when employing the coordinated and cohesive omnichannel campaigns that I'm talking about today. Then I'll be opening it up for questions. So that's the agenda for the day. Our second housekeeping item is that the webinar has a chat function in the bottom corner that we can use, like I just mentioned. Feel free to use this to submit your questions at the end, or like I said, if you want me to go back to something, feel free to submit that, and I'll try to check it out throughout the process. And if you are going to be tweeting about today's webinar, please be sure to use the hashtag OmniDM so we can keep all the tweets together. And my last housekeeping item is that we are recording today's session, so you'll be receiving a copy within the next couple days. So if everyone's ready, we'll get started. So there's a myth out there that omnichannel and multi-channel are the same exact thing. There's a lot of jargon out there in the marketplace. Companies are always coming out with new ideas and new strategies and a lot of buzzwords. And we find that a lot of marketers do use these terms, the omnichannel, multi-channel, interchangeably, but the fact is, there are actually some really important distinctions between the two. So we'll look at a couple different definitions and examples. So here is a definition for multi-channel. It refers to the practice by which companies interact with customers via multiple channels, both direct and indirect, in order to sell them goods and services. So when you think of channels, we'll think of in-store, website, maybe you have an app, maybe there's a catalog that you use. Those could be different examples of channels. And then when you think about the different media out there, there's direct mail, there's email, there's social, there's display. There's a bunch of different media that you could be using. So now we'll compare the definition of multi-channel to the definition of omnichannel. So omnichannel is a type of retail which integrates the different methods of shopping available to consumers. So kind of sounds a little bit like that definition that we just said for multi-channel, but what's a little bit more interesting is this definition here. So omnichannel is a multi-channel approach to sales that seeks to provide customers with a seamless shopping experience. So that's whether they're shopping online, either from their desktop or from their mobile. Maybe they're shopping, via phone, they're paying over the phone, or maybe they're just shopping in a brick and mortar store. So if we think about that for a minute, let's put an emphasis on the word approach. So it's a multi-channel approach. That's what omnichannel is. So, if you're using more than one channel to promote your products and services, then that's multi-channel marketing because you're using more than one channel. But if you're going a step further and you're creating those seamless shopping experiences so that no matter what channel they're on or what media they're accessing your message from, then you're using the omni-channel marketing. So, okay, that's it. Thank you all for coming. No, I'm just kidding. The webinar's not over yet. But I know some of you are probably thinking about bouncing early now that we had the question from the webinar title answered. It was omnichannel versus multi-channel. What's the difference? And I did just explain the differences and definitions. But I hope you'll stay on now for the how and the why of using omnichannel instead of multi-channel. I think this is where things are going to get pretty interesting. So when you're trying to decide if you would rather take an omnichannel or more of a multi-channel approach, you have to think about the end user and what you want their experience to be. So like we said before, omnichannel is that seamless experience. So no matter if you're looking at something on Facebook or you're looking at a direct mail campaign or you're viewing a display ad, that the experience that user is having with your message is always going to be the same. So the answer to that choice should always be omnichannel. So how do you do this? You want to start by planning your campaigns in conjunction with one another, making sure that you're using the same or at least very similar creative on your direct mail, your emails, your social media, your display ads, things like that. You want to be using the same imagery, the same color schemes, and the same basic messaging as well. So, and you want to make sure that you're giving the same experience that you give in store, that you're doing that online, and vice versa. So the experience that they have with your website, you want that to match your in-store experience as well. So here's just a quick look at what that might look like with direct mail and advertising, the display advertising. You can see how this display ad uses the same basic color schemes. They've got the blues, they've got the pink here, and they have it here on the display ad as well. And it uses some of the same images too, from the postcard to the display ad. So if somebody was to receive this postcard first, or even see the display ad first, then they're going to recognize those colors and those images when they see it elsewhere. So if they saw the display ad first and then they get the postcard, they'll recognize it. I think I've seen these images recently, and it just goes for that brand experience and the brand recall later on. So now we'll get into the why of Omnichannel. Omnichannel gives the customer the opportunity to interact with you on their own terms and receive consistent service as you reach out to them where they are. And that's really what's important, is where they are. So not everybody is going to be looking at display ads or emails or display, but some people will be looking at the different components. So no matter where they are, where they're seeing you, you want to make sure that messaging and that service that you're providing is consistent, so they're always able to see it no matter what their preferred communication is. So let's look at some stats. This one here is my favorite statistic. So did you know that the average person receives more than 2,900 marketing messages a day? That's almost 3,000 marketing messages, brand impressions, logos, different things like that in a single day. So, when you think about it, think about all the emails you receive, the banner ads you see when you're on your phone, the mail you get in your inbox, your mailbox, the billboards that you drive by on the way to work. Even just look around your desk right now and just look at the different branded items sitting there. I'm looking around, I'm in a conference room and I see, our phone has a logo on there, my water bottle has a logo on there. Things are, obviously corporate materials that we have, those have our brand on there. Those are just different brand impressions that I'm seeing when I'm just sitting, in a room and just kind of looking around. So that factors into that 2,900 messages that I'm going to see today. So, and of all of these marketing messages, the response kind of varies. So I'll give you guys kind of a moment or so to look at this graph, and then I'll explain a little bit more about it. So as we look through, we can see direct mail has the highest response at 5.1% for house lists, and it's 2.9% for prospect list or purchase lists. We can also see that mobile is at 0.2% for a response, emails at 0.6%, socials at 0.1%, paid search is at 0.1%, and display is at 0.02%. So I usually use this graph to show the power of direct mail just in general, but what I want everyone to take away here is that direct mail has the ability to help lift response to other media when used in an omnichannel campaign. So what response one media might get on its own is only amplified by what it can get when it's planned out with the other media in mind. So now we'll take a look at cost per acquisition. So we'll dig a little bit deeper into things here. You can see that cost per acquisition is also a key component as well. And it looks like looking at this graph, it's pretty much comparable across the board. So no matter what media you do go with, you end up in about the same boat from a cost per piece standpoint or a cost per acquisition standpoint. So it does make sense to plan everything together in that omni-channel campaign. And our primary focus here at Compu-Mail is delivering quality print and mail solutions. So our approach always uses direct mail as the activation point for the omnichannel experience because, direct mail, like we saw earlier, has the highest response at that 5.1%. It has the highest impact on the customer because it's hard to ignore a message that's right there in your hands. Once you get it out of the mailbox, the odds of you seeing something, whether it's a logo or an image or even just the color scheme, before you do whatever the next step with the mail is, whether it's, respond to it or sometimes, people will just throw it out or whatever, but they're still seeing that message before they do. So it's not necessarily a waste. So again, we always use that activation point for the omnichannel experience because then it gets people to do other things. And like I said, once you've seen the message once, you're going to be more likely to remember it and maybe respond to it later on as you see it more and more. So these stats kind of show why that's effective. So direct mail with digital ads yield 28% higher conversion rates. People are very likely to visit a website before calling or visiting a store. And a lot of website visitors will leave without making a purchase. But the good news is that website visitors who are then retargeted, so you're showing them those display ads, the retargeting ads after they leave your website page, they're going to be 70% more likely to convert later on. So really our key point that we like to stress is that it's not direct mail versus online ads. It's not direct mail versus digital or anything like that. They all work together to create those cohesive campaigns. So, this might sound like a lot. It's actually a lot easier to pull together omni-channel campaigns than you might think. So I'm going to explain a little bit about OmniDM, and I know what you're thinking, oh no, a product plug, get me out of here. Bear with me. I think that you guys will definitely find some value in this product. It's a very easy lift for the omni-channel experience. So OmniDM is our internal approach to omni-channel marketing. It allows us to fully integrate and incorporate a trackable omni-channel experience as an enhancement to our traditional mail and letter shop services. So like I was saying earlier, we use direct mail as that activation point to get people online, get them looking at your ads, and get them, the ability to be retargeted later on. So with OmniDM, you'll get a fully optimized omni-channel campaign, easy daily result tracking, and integrated Google, Facebook, and Instagram marketing campaigns without any extra work to you. So that's really what our key is. We're going to be adding, if you go with an OmniDM campaign, we'll be doing that omni-channel portion for you. There's no extra lift. You just give us, we can talk about postcard art or whatever format you would go with, and then we would just add these components on there to help you drive the highest response. So that really makes it truly omni-channel because we help you incorporate all the different channels and make sure that everything is working together. So the 6 components that I'm talking about are mail tracking, call tracking, online follow-up on Google, which are those display ads that you would see anywhere in the Google network. I know weather.com and like CNN.com are a couple really popular ones, and then there's a couple other things on the Google network too. I forget, I think there's a list somewhere of all the different sites that the ads are displayed on. There's also social media follow-up, so someone visits your website and then they start to see your ads on Facebook. There's also social match, which kind of the same thing as the social media follow-up, but they don't have to actually visit your website for that to activate. We would take your mailing list and we would match it up to all of the different Facebook accounts that are out there that are existing that match up with the people on your list, and then we would just automatically start delivering those ads right away. So they don't have to come to the website for that to happen. But with social media follow-up and online follow-up, that would be the case. And then there's also a brand new component to this, USPS informed delivery. This is something that not a lot of marketers are using right now, but it's a really awesome product, and we think that, you know, informed delivery will definitely gain a lot of traction. So I'll go into a little bit more detail on the different components I just mentioned. So another myth out there is that it's impossible to know when mail is actually going to reach your mailboxes, but the truth is that accurate mail predictability is possible with mail tracking. So mail tracking, the first feature of OmniDM, allows you to see when your mail is projected to hit mailboxes. So if you need to staff your store or make sure that your website is going to be optimized so it's not going to crash if you get a lot of traffic, or if you need to make sure that you have, you know, enough people in your call center, mail tracking really gives you that ability to kind of plan ahead and see exactly when it's going to hit mailboxes and when you can start expecting a response from people. It'll also help you be prepared for new calls and online leads. And then you can also view when your mail is actually confirmed and delivered via your dashboard. So there's a graph that'll show you when it's projected, and then there's another line that shows you when it was actually confirmed. So you can kind of track back to see, okay, it was projected to hit on Tuesday and it did. So there were no delays there. Or you can see that, okay, maybe it was projected to hit Tuesday, but for whatever reason it didn't hit until Wednesday or Thursday. You can always see what the actual case was. And then you can also keep track of the percentage of mail that has arrived, which is always kind of nice to know what percentage of your mail was delivered. So there's a new feature with mail tracking that we're rolling out where you can actually see the name and the address of the person that did receive the piece. So if you wanted to be able to take your mailing list and go through and track how many people, the exact people that received your message, you can do that. So the next component is the call tracking. Another myth out there is that receptionists and sales reps always ask, how did you hear about us? Which we know isn't always the case, and I know even myself is I field a lot of internal calls, and even sometimes I forget to ask how they heard about us. But the truth here, the advantage of call tracking is that you can know exactly who calls as a direct result of your campaign with this feature. So you can track the effectiveness of your campaign without the human error, without relying on somebody to ask every single time, by using a unique tracking number. So every call that comes in is a direct result of your campaign. You know that I'm only using this phone number on this postcard, so if anyone calls, it had to have been from that postcard because I'm not advertising it anywhere else. There's no other place that my caller could have found my business besides whatever the direct mail piece was that they received. And then you can listen to recorded calls on your dashboard, and then you can refer to them for training and quality assurance purposes. So this is a really nice feature if you're looking to see, you know, again, how many people are actually calling because of my direct mail. It's really easy to set up. You would just provide like your office phone number, whatever number people would typically call you. We would put it into the dashboard and give you your unique tracking number. And then anytime somebody calls this number, it would just automatically be redirected to that office number or whatever number you usually use. So there's no extra steps. You don't have to be logged into the dashboard for it to happen. It's kind of like a set it and forget it thing. You just give us your phone number, we'll give you your new phone number, we'll put it on the piece, we'll give it to you so you have it for reference, and then you'll be able to track your calls. And like mail tracking, there's a new enhanced part of call tracking where you have the ability to see, again, the name, the address, the phone number of the person calling you. So if for whatever reason, you know, you're on the phone, you don't get their name, or you're not sure, you know, if this John Smith is the same John Smith from your mailing, it just eliminates the error and allows you to be able to easily match up, you know, who you mailed to and who responded. So hopefully that makes sense. So next we have online follow-up. So 80% of sales are made between the 8th and the 12th contact, which I find very interesting. You know, if you want to reach a prospect for the first time, they might not see or register your first few messages, but if you just keep consistently going after them, consistently using your omni-channel campaigns, then you'll start to gain traction after a while. So the myth here is that people ignore online ads. Sometimes you could be browsing a website or looking at an article or something, and there's online ads to the side, but you're so used to seeing them that you just kind of tune them out. But the truth is that repetition is key to effective marketing. So like I said earlier, if they see your logo from your direct mail, or maybe they see it from your email first, they're going to recognize that later on when they do see those online ads. So because they've been exposed to your message before, when they see that online ad, they're more likely to pick up on it than just scan through. So the way this works is that the mail piece would direct prospects to your website. Website visitors are then given or cookied or put that cookie code on there via Google, so that your ads will follow them as they browse other sites. So like I said earlier, like weather.com, CNN are a few popular ones, but there's like a whole list somewhere. And I see that this is flashing. I'm just going to check to make sure there aren't any. Nope. Good. Just wanted to make sure there weren't any questions or anything like that. But yeah, so website visitors are cookied, and then again, your ads follow them as they leave the other sites. And I'm sure you can think of tons of examples of companies that use retargeting. You're online looking at a pair of shoes, and then you go on Facebook later and you see those exact same shoes. That's just the same thing. But you might be more likely, maybe you didn't want to buy the shoes right away. Maybe you're waiting until your next paycheck or something like that. So if you keep seeing that message, you might be more likely to remember to go back and buy those shoes, once you get paid or whatever your reason was for leaving. So, and this is kind of the same thing, again, for social media follow-up. So the myth here is that people on Facebook only pay attention to their friends' posts, but, that's not really true. Facebook ads are, most likely to be interacted with because they allow users to share and tag others. They're constantly increasing the exposure and the visibility of your ad. So if you have a catchy image or a catchy slogan on there or something, people are going to see it in their Facebook ad. It's going to look like a native post and everything like that. So they might share it with their friends who will then see it later. So the way this works is that, again, back to those cookies, only Facebook calls it a pixel. Website visitors see that cookie or receive that cookie or their Facebook, or receive the cookie or the pixel. And then they are matched back to their Facebook profile. So if they're, logged into Facebook while they're on your website, in a different tab or something like that, we can easily match and say, okay, here's John Smith on our website, and here's his Facebook profile. Here we go. That pixel is then deposited onto his browser, and then as John Smith goes on to Facebook, he's going to start seeing those ads. So they'll see it again as part of their natural news feed. So as you're scrolling through, it's like any post that you might put out there. It's just natively part of that. Oh, go back. And then this one goes across any device. So because it's matched to that Facebook profile, I can go on the website from my phone, and then if I'm accessing Facebook from my phone, I'll see it there. If I'm accessing Facebook from my desktop, I would see it there. If I was on a tablet or something like that on Facebook, I would still see it there too. The difference there between the social media pixel and the Google cookie is that I believe the Google cookie is more specific to, it's very specific to that device. So if you look at an ad or you look at a website on your desktop or your laptop or something like that, you're only going to see the Google posts from that same device that you were viewing it. Whereas because Facebook matches to your profile, no matter where you look at it, you're always going to see it. So the advantage here to social media follow-up is that there are over 1 billion users of Facebook worldwide. So your audience that you have is potentially pretty big for these kind of ads. People spend an average of 50 minutes per day on Facebook. And what's really interesting, and I see this myself too, is that the fastest growing new profile demographic on Facebook is age 65 and up. So I think of my grandparents. I live a couple hours away from my family. So my grandma loves to go on Facebook and, you know, add me as a friend, see what I'm up to and things like that. So she's definitely on Facebook. I know when people think about the 65 and up demographic and they think about social media, they don't really think that's a good fit, but you know, if that's where you know younger people are, or their kids, their grandkids or whatever, then that's where where that demographic is going to be as well. So like I said earlier, we also have social match, which is kind of part of social media, but it kind of takes things a little bit further. So the myth here is that mailing lists and social media don't really get along. They're not related, or you know, they don't really have any sort of cohesiveness or anything like that. But the truth is that social match matches your mailing list to any social media profile using just the name and address. So you can take that mailing list and you can say, okay, here's all the people that I'm mailing to, and here's how many of them have a Facebook account. So those do, you know, they work together very nicely to get you those users. And like I said, they don't have to necessarily visit the website and then leave to see the ads. Social Match targets them for 10 days after you mail your piece. And then if they do go on the website and then perform any actions, then they would remain on that list. But after that 10 days with Social Match, they would drop off if they haven't gone to your website. So again, just a quick recap of that, it pre-matches your mailing list and uses it to identify those active Facebook users. And we give you the ability to see your ad on Facebook before the mail even reaches mailboxes. So the day that your piece is mailed, Facebook ads go live. Anybody on your website that day will be added to that follow-up list. And then as your recipients receive the mail, look at the mail, go on your website from there, they'll be able to see it as well. And then if anybody was matched during the social match portion of it, they're going to be seeing it no matter what from day 1 to day 10. They're always going to see your ad. So there's typically a 40 to 60% match on all the mailing lists that we run social match with. So you're not going to get every single person, because not every single person on your mailing list is going to have a Facebook, and not every person is going to, you know, how their name is displayed on the mailing list might not be what their name is, or how their name is displayed on Facebook. So you're not always going to get that match, but you can think of like a 40 to 60% match for your list. So now I'm going to explain a little bit more about USPS Informed Delivery, which like I mentioned earlier, it's a newer product here from the USPS. So the myth here is that the mailbox is the only touch point for a physical piece of mail, but the truth is that Informed Delivery allows recipients to see previews before their piece hits the mailbox. So with Informed Delivery, anybody can go up and sign up. You just submit your name and address, you give them your email, and they start sending you emails every day. Usually I get mine around 8 o'clock in the morning of all of the mail that you're set to receive that day. So I can see if a bill is coming, or you know, if someone sent me a Christmas card or the holiday card or something like that. That's a big thing around this time of year. I can see, okay, I definitely need to check my mail later because I know that this bill or this card is going to be in my mailbox. So it gives you that extra touch point. I don't have to wait until I get home to see what's in my mail. I can look at it, you know, in the morning before I leave for work, and then I know, okay, check your mail when you first get home because this piece is going to be there. So it's just that extra touch point. You can also choose to supplement or replace your grayscale image. We do prefer to supplement the image, so you're still going to see the grayscale image, but we can add a little full color, I forget what size it is, but it's a little full color square that goes underneath your grayscale image, and then you can choose a link to it as well. So it kind of looks like a banner ad type thing. And what you want to do here is entice people, you know, if you have an offer for 40% off an online purchase, you can put that offer on the color image. You can link to the URL or the personalized URL, the Pearl, for that product that you're promoting, and then they can actually, before they even get the mail, they can go online and they can, you know, shop your sale or look at, you know, whatever that link, wherever that link takes them, they can view that before they get the mail. So maybe later when they get the mail, they don't have to actually type in the website or anything like that. It's just right there, just kind of eliminating that step. So, as a bonus, we have a seventh digital component that's coming out on January 15th. It's called Lead Match. So this is going to be a brand new attribution tool that allows you to see who went on your website as a direct result of your direct mail. And you'll also have access to mail the remainder of your website traffic, users that came in from maybe an organic search or a paid campaign that you've been doing. So the advantage here is really that you can, once you send out a mail piece and somebody goes online, they look at a few products, maybe they don't buy anything on this first visit, without lead match or without anything like that, then you might never know who that person was. I mean, if they make a purchase, then that you have that transaction data from that purchase that they made, or if they they fill out a form or something, you have their information there. But if they don't, you might never hear from that person again if they don't come back to your website, which luckily, if you're using OmniDM, you have that retargeting in place. You can at least deliver those display ads to them to try to get them to come back. But even then, you don't really know necessarily who is looking at these pieces. But with Lead Match, you can see it. So with the people from your mailing list, we can match them up to your website traffic. So John Smith receives your postcard, he goes online. Okay, we see, because we're matching to, his device, his cookies, different things like that. We can sort of like triangulate back to saying, okay, this is John Smith. He was on my original mailing list. Okay, I know that he definitely responded. So that'll be an interesting way to see, again, exactly who is responding to your direct mail pieces, which is something that we've, in direct mail in general, has never really been able to do before. So this will be a really interesting feature. And the result of adding these 6, soon to be 7, digital components is a cohesive omni-channel campaign that allows for easy setup, tracking, and attribution. So again, with this product, we have a dashboard that we can give you. You would just need to, tell us what you want your direct mail to look like. We could easily create your different ads, set up your phone number and different things like that for you, put it all out there, give your campaign those extra touch points, give people, extra chances to respond, and then everything is just really easy to track and always track back to who's receiving the pieces, who's looking at things, and really see, what your marketing is doing. So now I'm going to share a couple case studies. I have 2 of them. So these are just a couple local businesses, local organizations using OmniDM. So the first one is a nonprofit. They are a local nonprofit organization, and they were looking to send their first direct mail campaign. The format that we worked on was a letter pack mailed once. There was a donor base of about 2,000 names and an acquisition list of about 10,000 names. So for that one, we used predictive modeling to kind of look at different possible donors that might have had a propensity to donate to similar causes to what this nonprofit organization stood for. So the results with their OmniDM campaign for mail tracking, they had almost 100% mail rate, 99.98% of their almost 11,800 pieces that were delivered. They received one phone call from this campaign. There were 20,000 people on their follow-up list and about 7,500 people on their social media follow-up list. And if I remember correctly, I don't believe that this organization used Social Match, so we don't necessarily know how many, so we don't have the information of how many people could have been on the list from Social Match because they didn't use that feature. We also have some stats from a B2B organization. They were looking to announce a new service to current and prospective customers. The format that they chose was a postcard mailed 3 times over the course of a couple months, and then they went on maintenance for a while, and now they're working on mailing on a weekly schedule for 1 month. So maybe 3, 4, 5 touch points were out there. Well, actually, it would be 3 times, and then so it'd be 7 if it was weekly schedule for a month. There'd be about 7 postcards were out there gathering these stats. So their target was multiple acquisition lists of approximately 3,000 names. Their mail tracking, like I said, they did multiple campaigns, so their mail tracking ranged from 94.14% to 97.75%. And across all of those campaigns, they received 16 calls. There were about 16,000 people on their online follow-up list and about 6,800 people on their social media follow-up list. So this just kind of shows, these stats just kind of show, you know, what the dashboard can do for you, and the kind of information that you can receive from it. So as we wrap up here today, we'll go back to the original question. So, you know, omnichannel and multi-channel, what's the difference? The key difference between these two is just that omnichannel is an approach to multi-channel that joins the touch points together so that no matter what the journey is for the customer, no matter what their experience is, no matter where they're looking at your message or interacting with your brand, their experience is always going to be consistent and unified, and they're always going to know this is brand ABC, and I know this because when I look at their postcards and when I look at the display ads, I always see the same messaging. I always see, you know, that same marketing message is always reflected throughout, you know, wherever they are. So that's our take on omnichannel versus multi-channel. Some people might have different opinions on it. This is just, you know, as we learn more about omnichannel ourselves, this is just our take on it. So hopefully this presentation has inspired you guys to think a little bit differently about the marketing channels and the way that your messages are working together. So if you need any help coordinating an omnichannel campaign, whether it's with OmniDM, whether, you know, maybe it's not with OmniDM, either way, we're there for you. And for those of you that might not be familiar with us, we're a full-service mail service provider. Our primary focus is on, like I said, delivering quality print and mail solutions, and our expertise in various disciplines of direct and omnichannel marketing might provide a valuable solution to simplify your campaigns. And really our goal is to help you unify, manage, and measure each of your elements, each of your pieces of marketing that you're doing all in one spot. And you know, it's really important to us that our customers are able to close the loop on their attribution and their reporting. So that's everything that fuels our approach to omnichannel marketing. And we hope you find as much value in this as we do. So that's all I have for today. I'm going to open it up to questions for the next few minutes. So feel free to use the chat function to submit yours. Okay, it doesn't look like anyone has any questions just yet. I do have a few things, you know, as we talk about this concept with our customers and with our prospects. We've had a couple questions that have come up from that. So I'll just kind of share with you guys with some of these with you to get started. We've had a lot of questions about what the price is for the services, which really that depends on the quantity of the mail that you're sending, the format of the mail that you're sending, and different things like that. So campaigns are completely custom. So you'll want to reach out to your sales rep, or you know, you can reach out to me at allison.jensen@compu-mail.com, which I believe should be on this next slide here, or marketing@compu-mail.com too. And we can always help you figure out what that pricing is going to look like. We've also had questions on PII, or personally identifiable information, with lead match. So people have asked, you know, if you're able to identify who a person is based on their cookie or their device or whatever, you know, are there any privacy concerns with that? And that's not really an issue with lead match at all. You wouldn't see any of the information until you purchase the leads. And even then, it's just name and address, which is, you know, it's available in the phone book. So it's public information. And we would never export that list to you with any other information. It does look like we have a question come through. That was at 2 o'clock, so we'll just take that back down. And hopefully the audio has worked the whole time and I haven't just spent 45 minutes or 40 minutes or so talking to myself. Let's see. So other questions that we've had come through. Is it just Facebook and Google that are involved for the social media and the online follow-up with OmniDM? Yes. Facebook and Instagram are, they're part of the same thing, so it's definitely those 3 channels. But if you're looking for Twitter or LinkedIn or anything like that, that's not part of OmniDM yet. So it's just the Google Display Network and the Facebook Advertising Networks that's part of it. Okay, thank you guys for that. With our last presentation that I did like a quick mini webinar last month, and for some reason my audio was fine. Then I turned on recording right before I started and nobody could hear me, and I was talking to myself for like 15 minutes before I realized that I had to go back there and redo the whole thing. So I appreciate your feedback. I don't know if anyone else has any questions. I still have a few more. Like I said, from other conversations, if you're wondering if you can get a copy of the slides later, yes, that'll be available as part of the recording. Another question that we've had is, is it real-time reporting? And with OmniDM, it's real-time in the sense that I think the dashboard is updated every 12 hours or so. So if you're on a call with somebody and you're using call tracking, you might not see the information immediately while you're on the phone with that person, but the recording's happening anyway, so you take your notes, you do whatever, you can leave and come back to it, and it'll all be there later. And another question that we've is, how quickly can a program like this get off the ground? It really depends on how much setup there needs to be. So it's going to depend, I would say maybe plan for like a 2-week lead time to be able to put the creative together for like the direct mail and then the banner ads and get the cookie codes and everything implemented onto your website. So, and then our question, do we have to have a mailing to take advantage of OmniDM? Yes, because again, kind of like I was saying throughout the presentation, direct mail is really the activation point. So we use it as, I guess, like touch point number 1. So you would have to have that mailing, you would have to have, your phone number on there if you're using the call tracking feature, you'd have to have your website on there to get people to kind of, get the rest of it going. So. Yep, for OmniDM specifically, yes, you would have to have a mailing. And we do work with a variety of different clients, so if you don't have any creative at all, we can definitely help you out with that. You could just give us images, you could give us your logo, you can give us the type of messaging that you could use, and we can create you a custom piece, or you could follow like a template that we use, or some of our customers just supply us the files and we would just get it ready for print. So there's a lot of options there. Okay, and if we don't have any more questions, then I'm going to sign off. Thank you everybody so much for joining me today. Have a great rest of your day.